Two, one. And tonight we welcome a new guest to the show. Well, not a new guest. We've done some shows, haven't we, Lee?
Yeah, we've done a couple.
We've done a couple, but
Yeah.
we've just been part of a panel more talking about the UFO, UAP stuff. So I want to welcome Leigh to the show. Ex-paranormal investigator?
Yeah, now filmmaker.
Yeah, filmmaker,
Yeah.
documentarian, UAP researcher. And look, we're not even going to talk about much. We might talk about that stuff tonight, but it is Movember. It is another Men's Mental Health Month. And we spoke behind the scenes, and you wanted to share some of your story and share some of your struggles and how you're working through that. And I think it's always a really good thing for people to hear and to understand that we're not alone.
Yep.
We all, as men, look, I was suffered depression for a long time. I don't think you ever stop suffering it. I think you learn how to deal with it and you learn how to manage it. I think for me, my experience is you learn how to notice the signs and try and pull yourself back from the edge.
Yep.
Right. I don't ever think you get over it. And John is with us. He's in Overwatch position, deep in the snowy mountains, hiding in a Yowie stronghold. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good.
It's good.
And yeah, so he's in Overwatch. So this is a new thing which we're going to trial, which is pretty cool. That's the reason you can only hear him and can't see him, mate. Because if someone's in Overwatch and you can see them, they're not doing their job. No,
Exactly. Like a sniper in the background.
That's right. So, well, welcome, boys. Welcome. So, Leigh, obviously, you're not from around here, mate. Where are you from?
I'm from the UK.
Yep.
A place called Milton Keynes.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in Australia 25 years.
Yep.
Got a partner, one boy over here, and I've got two daughters who are back in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So I came over here 25 years ago. I've got parents who live in Adelaide.
Yep.
Wanted to change the scenery. I grew up in a pretty rough area of the world, and I wanted to give my family a better life. So I came over to Australia.
Bit more opportunity.
Loads more opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even back then, 25 years ago, more opportunity over here.
Completely different culture. Same dialect, same accent, so same dialect, but different culture completely. And I think coming over as an immigrant, you take every opportunity and you're grateful.
Yeah.
From getting up in the mornings at 4 a.m. with ice on your car to coming home in the afternoon when it's dark at 4 o'clock and that ice is still on the pile on the pavement. Right. So yeah. So I never whinge about the heat.
Never whinge about the heat.
No, never whinge about the heat. And I've been back, and it's the UK's got some big problems.
Oh, they got massive issues
to deal with, and Australia, people need to really appreciate how good we've got it over here.
Oh, look, I spent a lot of time across Southeast Asia throughout my 20s, so I understand that Australia. Look, we still are the lucky country. We're not going to get into that stuff tonight, but yeah, overall, yes. And I think 25 years ago, what's that, 2000? So yeah, that's back in the golden age of us. We're still in the golden age of Australia back then, mate. You know, like it was still very much an awesome time to be here. And yeah, right. So Milton Keynes, so rough neighbourhood
between Birmingham and London.
Okay,
halfway between the two. Yeah, it was the overflow for London for a lot of the immigrants at the time for the 70s, the Windrush generations, etc. that came through.
Yeah. So
it was an overflow city. Big drug problems for the 80s, etc.
That's all 80s. What's that? Heroin?
Yeah, it was the big heroin epidemics that went through the UK. A lot of it was architectural blocks that were built that would now become eventually ghettos. Everything was squared off, and there was no green spaces for anyone to play, or it was a pretty rough neighbourhood.
Oh, is that all those big blocks of flats you see sometimes?
Like that, yeah. And there would be communities that would be 3-story houses, but they'd be all in a row, a mile of them. And then there'd be a grid road, and then there'd be another mile of them. And it was cheap housing. And so it was the overflow for London at the time before the other big cities got big. London was the main city everyone went to, and it became the overflow. So, and growing up, there was a lot of crime. There was a lot of crime, a lot of drugs.
I imagine you saw some of that growing up.
Yeah. We saw many of the issues that have been brought up recently in the UK with some of these gangs. We were seeing that at 14, 13 years old.
So it's been going on for a while.
It's been going on for a long, long time. And we were aware of it back then.
Mm.
And I spoke to people when I come over, I spoke to people I know about, and they'll go, no, that wasn't happening then. And then certain people have spoken out recently, and it's like, I told you what was going on.
A bit more. So you're talking about some of the stuff that's going on with the immigration and the things that are happening. That was still happening back then.
That was happening back then,
but there wasn't enough of them, so it wasn't as overt as it is now.
And some of the abuse gangs, we've got to be careful what word we use. So some of the abuse gangs, that was going on back then when I was a 13, 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, right.
So, look, it was defining for character, but I wanted to get out of it. I didn't want to bring my family up.
No, you've got to get away from that. That's because it ends in, we're going to talk about, generational trauma. Speaking of generational trauma, you stay in those blocks of flats, your kids stay in there, their kids stay in there, and you never actually get out of that.
Yep.
Never get out of that cycle, and you're always in the poorhouse. Like which leads to crime, which leads to drugs, which leads to, and then that's the end, man. You know what I mean? And it's cyclical. And the reality is, we all know families, even here in Australia, that do have had that thing on the wrong side of the tracks. Good people, just on the wrong side of the tracks. I grew up with a few of them, like nice guys, but just on the wrong side of the tracks, and they ended up on the wrong side of the law because that's where it was the family business almost, like, and it's like you can't. Once that cycle starts, you can't. It's very difficult to get out of it. So look, you should be proud of yourself, mate, that you packed up and came over. So what did you do for work back then, or when did you?
I'm a chef by trade.
Okay.
And I had two daughters, so I got out of that, went into warehousing because split shifts, being a chef, really not conducive to a good. Being a father, etc. So I worked for a company called Tesco's over there, big, huge.
Tesco, yeah.
Yeah, and I came over here and I went back into warehousing over here, and it's currently making documentaries at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, well, I mean that's my experience too. I was warehousing logistics. That's when I went across Southeast Asia. I did that as a logistics specialist, moving stuff around the place. Big crazy things on cranes and trains, and I ended up in oil. I started in automotive, then went to cranes, ended up in oil and gas. And then you ended up doing project stuff. So we're here to talk about mental health. When did you? Because I think there's a question, right? And maybe I ask everybody here, and I'll answer it myself too. Is like, when did you realize you had a mental health problem? Because it's like there's a difference between when did you start having one to when did you realize that you had one.
I had a bit of sadness. And I'd gone to see a GP, and he'd stuck me on antidepressants. I just thought it was a bit of sadness, all good. When I actually had my first suicide attempt, I had to go back into work to turn smoke alarms on with the warehouse. It was a food warehouse and it had been fumigated. And I drove down there fine, and turned everything back on, and as I'm leaving, I said goodbye to, this sounds really weird, I said goodbye to my desk and made sure everything was straight and neat on my desk. So it was almost like closure. And there is certain traits when people do this that they follow. They like to tie up all the ends.
Did the SSRIs work? No. Yes.
No.
Did they make you feel worse, do you think?
Looking back now, and I'm very heavily medicated now, I probably didn't need them. That it was just peaks and troughs of life. And the doctor was probably too quick to put me onto them.
Well, they always are, yeah.
And I think, and once you're on them, it's extremely hard to get off.
Well, that's the thing. Like that started a cycle in itself, didn't it?
Yeah.
Realistically, like, one of the things that I saw when I was 16 was I saw a mate OD on pills, 16, 17. I saw a mate OD on pills, Eckies, or, whatever was going on back then. And that gave me an aversion to taking pills.
Yep.
Because I watched this dude, literally foaming from the mouth
Exactly
on the floor. And so when I went to the doctor and asked about my depression, and he wanted to put me on pills. I didn't take them. And I've thought a lot about whether I should, not anymore. There was a few years there, like during the time that I've done this show, that I thought about going on them potentially, maybe. I never did. But I wonder whether that's like and the only reason I say that, it's like, because, did you actually need to start taking them? And that started a cycle that you're still in now.
No, I didn't. I was having a shitty time. There's a difference with suicidal behaviour to having a shitty time.
What did you had young kids? You were working in a warehouse, like.
Well, I was up here. My boy was quite young, and my current partner. I was having a bit of shitty time at work.
Yeah.
On hindsight, that's all it was.
Life
Yeah,
was
it was life's peak and troughs, and that was all it was on hindsight. So going back to the night it happened so I said goodbye to everything, locked everything up, and it sounds so weird to anyone who's never been through this. I'm driving home.
Was that your intention going there? Was it something that came up?
It was
for some reason. You went from A to B.
So people have asked me what triggered it.
Yeah,
and I can't tell you that. I don't have the answer. I got there and thought, I ain't coming back here. That was literally it. It was like untidying my desk. I said, it sounds weird. I said goodbye to the room. I got in the car.
So you gave yourself a ritual of goodbye.
Yeah. And that is quite common with suicide. Drove home. I knew where all the pills were. I'd already planned it on the drive home, as calm as anything. I knew where all the drugs were. I knew what I was going to take. I'd worked it out in my head. Went in my bedroom, said night to my son, went to my bedroom and just popped them. And my son came in, and obviously he called the ambulance, and my partner came into the room. But all I can say, and I don't recommend it, it was a very peaceful time. Obviously this is the first time. So I shouldn't say learning, but I knew where I'd gone wrong. But I was happy with that. I was happy with where I was. I'd made peace with myself. I'm not a religious man, but I'd made peace with myself and things around me in my head. And it's very hard.
So you justified it to yourself.
I justify it. I'm done. Yeah.
And what they do, they pump your stomach?
No. They literally let sleep me out, and they threw me out of hospital at 3 o'clock the next afternoon, and I was still.
So you survived the night.
Drugs.
You survived the night.
Yeah. This is the first attempt, so there was no aftercare.
But it's interesting for me that it just, because look, we're being open, honest, and vulnerable. I've thought about it. I've had a couple of plans. I tried to ride my bike off a cliff pretty much one time, and the fucking bike hit a root, and I fell off the bike, and it didn't work out. Right, intervention, obviously, some kind. Like the root wasn't there the other time. You know what I mean? Like, before I took DMT, I was going to jump off the Great Australian Bike when I was driving across to Western Australia. I had DMT in Victoria when I was about 26, and that experience is the reason I'm sitting here right now. So, it's not like, had you thought about it prior to that, or?
I must have. I think I must have subconsciously.
How old were you when you did that?
So 55 now, so 2 years ago, the first attempt, so I was 53.
Okay.
So November the 31st.
Yeah. So how long have you been on the SSRIs?
2 years previously.
Okay.
So
it manifested itself when you were 50 odd.
Yeah, or so we thought.
And so you thought.
Yeah.
It's something. It's obviously something that had been building. I mean, prior to that, you were still working in warehousing, paranormal investigator, doing that sort of stuff, all those sorts of
normal, active life. Nothing different, nothing that changed in my life. It was just average, normal, would I say mundane life, just nothing different, nothing exciting, nothing bad, run of the mill life.
Look, I mean, forgive me, I feel like I'm harping on it, but I wonder whether the SSRIs accelerated that.
Other people have said to me the same thing. That
because that is one of the side effects, depending on the drug. One of the side effects is suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation. That is one of the side effects.
we've got a friend in New Zealand who's very much into herbal medicine and naturopath, and she said that for years that the drugs probably contributed to it. And she's one of these people that goes down every rabbit hole there is to
Because I mean,
really check it.
I'm just listening to your story, right? There's a T intersection.
Yep.
I don't feel great. And look, the reality is too, man, if you think about it, you're in your late 40s, early 50s. Unfortunately, our testosterone is dropping. All our injuries are coming back home to roost. There's nothing you can do about that. You know what I mean? So like you're maturing as a man, your testosterone's dropping, which probably gave you less energy and all those sorts of things, right? There's a number of different factors
Correct.
that would have been contributing to you feeling down. You know, and look, working in a warehouse the whole time, it's mind numbing sometimes.
Yeah.
It can get mind numbing. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So it's interesting. That's just the marker was the pills. You know what I mean? And the fact that you use the pills to do that, you know, because let's rewind. You say no at that T juncture.
Yep.
The pills aren't there for you even to do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And those were the pills I'd used, plus other painkillers or sedatives that we had in the house as well.
Yeah.
So it was a mix. It was prescribed drugs that I used. There was no illegal drugs. It was prescribed medicines that I used.
Yes, that's right. The doctor said it was okay for you to take them. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, man. Like, I mean, have you thought about, because you're a paranormal investigator, have you thought about during that time, leading up to that time, had you attracted an entity? Had you attracted something negative into your existence? I mean, your company is called Devil's Lanes Productions. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because I have thought about this conversation, and I thought about things to ask you about it because, you know, regardless of anything else, there's positive and negative energy in the world. There is things that we don't understand, right? Which you've had some experience with, and you so I think a lot of it's bullshit, which I agree with you, but it's not all, right?
No.
At UTC, we go on the what if the 1% is true,
yeah.
Right? Let's consider 99% is bullshit. What if 1% of all the stories we've heard are true? That means that there's things that we don't see, things that we don't understand. There's things that can attach themselves to us. You know, what if 1% of all the exorcisms that have been performed were actually real, right? So,
exactly.
You know, have you thought about that from an energetic standpoint? Or
we did have a haunted doll for a year or so before. I'd probably been on the antidepressants for a year or so, and then we got this haunted doll, and that was very, very strange. And I was very skeptical on haunted dolls.
They creep me out, man.
This thing was, unfortunately, I don't have any photos because everyone erased them around us. But this thing was only about 8-9 inches. It wasn't a typical looking doll. And I was given it by someone to look after and research. And I've got a fascination with these things.
Yeah. Well, look, I think we've all got a fascination with that sort of stuff. Well, let's open up on that because I do want to hear about the doll. So, how did the doll end up in your possession? Where did it come from?
I was given it by another paranormal investigator, and I was very eager to have it. It's a pretty cool object to have. I mean, I've got voodoo dolls in the house and things like that from my time from traveling in America. And so this was like, yeah, this is pretty cool to have a haunted doll in your house. And it was in a glass cabinet and it was sealed and bound.
The doll was bound or the cabinet?
The cabinet was bound and they'd been blessed and everything that the doll was in. And it was a locked cabinet as well.
You never took it out, did you?
No.
Yeah, good.
No. No.
And what had happened? So just so we get the timeline right, because I think there's the thing that's been echoing to me about the conversations we've had behind the scenes and the things that we've talked about is that the two things were your attempts and this bloody doll keeps coming up, right? Every time I talk to you, you've talked about this bloody doll.
Yeah.
And the fact that they line up together in a manner of speaking, right? And just through my experience of weirdness, I know that these things do actually exist, right? I'm not, again, what if 1% is true, right?
Correct. So
what was the provenance of the doll? Do we know? I wonder if we could bring a picture up. Do we know what was it called?
I couldn't find the doll. As I said, any of the photos we had, I can't find any photos.
But would it be on the internet somewhere, maybe? Or?
No. It was a private person that had given this doll to this paranormal investigator.
And what was the provenance on it? Why was it haunted?
Well, they didn't tell me what was wrong. They just said, look after it and see what happens. It was like an experiment. So I didn't want to know the backstory. I wanted to see.
Okay, you wanted to get
I wanted to play around and see.
Perspective.
So we put it in the shed, away from the house, and it was locked in there. No one else had the key other than me and my partner. And it'd been there for about 2 weeks.
And was it like a children's doll?
Yeah,
female doll with a dress.
It was bald. So it was bald. Ugly as fuck little thing it was. It was like literally that big.
Yeah.
And it had like a dress. It had like a porcelain head.
So for those that are listening, Leigh said we're about 4 inches tall, something like that.
Yeah.
So just like a baby's doll.
Yeah, but it was very tiny and it was very ugly. It was a weird doll. It looked weird.
Yeah.
And it had a white smock around it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we put it into this cabinet and it was bound, etc. I had the key to the shed so no one else could get in there. And I told my son, don't go near it. I just want to see what happens. And for 2 weeks, my son was saying to me, something doesn't feel right, Dad. I feel a bit flat. I'm hearing noises. And I was like, yeah, okay, Ryan, you're a young lad. Mm. You know, you get scared at the drop of a pin. Mm. And he was going, no, something's not right. Something's not right. And his mum had gone away. And this was a Thursday. And so before then, that week, it was really getting bad for him. So, Dad, I'm starting to feel depressed and flat.
Yeah, he's not right.
No, and he's telling us something's not right, Dad.
And after a while, you got to take it seriously. If it's 1 day, 2 days,
correct.
But if it's ongoing.
So the Thursday night at about 2:30 a.m., I wake up,
witching hour, just for the playing at home,
and there is this black. Now, my partner breeds Rottweilers, and I'm uncomfortable around big dogs. She handles them and does everything. I've never been a big dog fan, and that's the thing. But I wake up at 2:30 in the morning, and there is this black wolf-like animal on top of me with bright red eyes. And I've just gone, what the?
You can swear, it's okay.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I'm literally soaked in sweat. I'm wide awake. It's not sleep paralysis. I am wide awake, and this thing, and then it vanishes. So I speak to my partner, and she's very skeptical of all of this. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've met her. She's very, very. She questions everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She was watching us have our conversation.
Yeah. And I spoke to her about 9 o'clock the next morning, and she says, "I had the weirdest dream." What do you mean? I woke up at 2:30. Now she's in another state. She has no knowledge this has gone on. I said, what do you mean you had a weird dream? Someone was on top of me trying to strangle me, all in black. And this is from a person who's a complete skeptic who doesn't buy into this.
Chills, man.
And I was like, I said, you sure? I said to her, I had this dream, same time, of this black wolf-like thing with red eyes on me. So as the day goes on, someone else contacts me and said, is anything weird happening in your house? Another person on the paranormal team. I said, well, I had a strange dream and so did Joe. Well, we got another report of someone having a strange dream.
Connected to the doll.
Yeah, being stabbed. So same thing, all in black.
Do you know what it's doing too? Do you know what's interesting? It's preying on your fear, right? Because you just said you don't like big dogs. There's a big dog on top of you.
Correct.
No one likes being choked or stabbed, but I imagine that might be, if you talk to the missus and the other person, that's probably a fear of theirs or genetic trauma or something like that. You know what I mean? Like there's something there. Because the reason you're scared of big dogs is, you would have had an experience at some point in the past or, maybe not even this life. You know what I mean? Like it just depends, right? Giant wolves and big dogs is a fear. That's the reason that the big, the big bad wolf is in Red Riding Hood.
That's correct.
Right? Because if you go into the forest, the wolf can eat you. That used to be real. That's not a story, right? Okay. Yep.
And these two, and Joe and this other woman didn't really know each other, and they wouldn't have had. There was no contact there.
Yeah. There's no connection. Yeah. And he was connected to the doll or through the provenance.
Well, she didn't even know the doll was there. Only Joe knew that my partner knew the doll was there, and my son and the other paranormal investigator. No one else knew the doll was on my premises.
Right, but she was a part of your team.
She was part of the team at the time.
Yeah.
So I ring the woman who gave me the doll. I said, look, something's not right. too many things are adding up that just, it's more than coincidence. There's something's not right here. She says, well, I'll come down Saturday and we'll remove the doll. So I said, okay, cool. Now the Saturday comes, she's coming down with her partner from Toowoomba. She has 2 flat tyres on the way down.
2
flat tyres on the way down. And she's had an almighty argument with her partner on the way down as well.
There's a
so
Barney happening.
There's a lot of aggression and negative energy.
The negative energy is prominent, yes.
All the electronics in our house on that Saturday, all of them is malfunctioning. Laptops, anything that was plugged in, TVs, iPads, everything was locking up and just malfunctioning everywhere.
Right.
We got a robot vacuum and it was doing the weirdest dance I've ever seen it do. It was literally anything that was electrical was not working.
So did you have, because obviously you're a paranormal investigator, I imagine you've got some EMF tools and a few other bits and pieces. Did you have the presence of mind to turn them on?
No, we didn't bring anything out. It was surreal. It's like one of those things that you see, so, oh, that can't be happening. And I was more worried about my son and his girlfriend at the time because they were getting quite spooked out by
Freaked out by it.
Yeah. And it was predominantly their stuff that was playing up. And my son is very sensitive as well. So
okay.
We were concerned about that. So the ladies arrived to help remove the doll. And we were going to give it to the church for them to do what they do. So me, her partner, and her go down to the shed. We keep my son and his girlfriend up on the deck looking down, out of the way. You can have a look, and we go in there. And there's a bit of a ceremony that's going on. I don't really think we should go into too much detail.
No.
But there was a ceremony going on. The wind picks up. Now, we've had people, I knew someone who was 2 streets away that said there was no wind that night. My boy who's on the deck goes, there's no wind. What are you on about, Dad? But the doors slammed like there was a gust of wind that come through. It's a metal Stratco style shed. And things were moving in the shed, like things were banging on the shed. We could hear it. My son and his girlfriend
standing above, looking at.
And they're about 10 to 15 metres away.
But it's a tin shed.
None of this
banging on the shed.
Yeah. There's no trees overhanging it, no nothing. It's literally in the middle of a pretty flat paddock. Yeah. They can't see it or hear it. So anyway, we get this doll in its case and we put it into a black bag. Okay. So we walk up into the house. It's all sealed and I put it into the back of my truck. The paranormal lady's daughter comes in and goes, because she'd kept her in the car, who are those 3 or 4 people, those black shadows around the back of the shed? Well, no one. There were 3 of us in the shed and there was a torchlight. We could see. We knew where everyone was. She goes, no, there were 3 or 4 shadowed, like cloaked figures around the back of the shed. I saw it. We go, well, no, there wasn't. We didn't think too much about it because we were actually doing a paranormal tour that night. Right. So we shot off into Ipswich and
with this doll on the back of the
with the doll on the back of the truck. And we've done the paranormal tour. Everything was pretty normal and nothing out of the ordinary. So we head to McDonald's when it's finished and we write a note to the church to do what they do with this doll. Nothing weird, out of the ordinary at all at this point. Everything was pretty chilled. So we drive down to Brisbane Street and we jump out of the trunk, me and my son, because he says, oh, I'll come with you, Dad. Like, bit of excitement. And the humour here is I'm wrestling with this black bag with this glass case in it, looking like I do at 1 o'clock in the morning. The police drive past. And I'm like, how the fuck am I going to explain this?
What am I doing? Yeah. I didn't steal whatever's in the black bag. Yeah.
Oh, it was hilarious. And I'm wrestling with this bag and I'm just thinking.
How big is the case?
Probably about that side.
Yeah.
But
about a foot tall. Yeah.
I'm just struggling wrestling this thing and the copper slowed down before it's drive past. I think, don't fucking stop. I'm not going to be What's in the back of your truck? It's a haunted doll, mate. You can just imagine.
Doll, we're dropping it off for the church to exercise it. Yeah, right. Okay.
So me and my son, we got the doll out in this, doing the bag. No one took it out of the bag. And we jump up, and if you know where Brisbane Street is, I think St. Peter's Church there on the main street through Ipswich.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a bit of a way up. As we're walking up, and it was a clear night, and there's lights in there, so you can see everything, and we're heading towards the vestry door. We see two figures to the left of us, and probably very tall, 6.5 to 7 feet tall. Okay. If anything, we would say of African appearance, but neither me or my son can tell you exactly the facial features.
Yeah.
One of them had a red cloak, like they wear in church, with a gold tabard.
Mm.
The other one had like a baby blue cloak with a silver tabard.
And this is outside the church?
This is outside the church, standing next to each other to our left. We've acknowledged that these people are there. We've both seen it. I said, that's a bit weird, Ryan. What are they doing here? He's gone.
Do you think you were on consecrated ground by that time?
Yeah, we were actually on the church grounds heading towards the vestry door to drop the note, drop the dole, and clear out of there. Job done. And we remember seeing these people, and they just didn't look right. But both of us have seen the same. We can both describe the same people. We've looked around because it was weird to see two people at 1:30 in the morning standing there. So it wasn't homeless people or anything like that.
They're in
these
the cloaks.
they're extremely tall, and these were what they were wearing. It was more religious costume than anyone else. So we dropped the dole at the church door. And considering we're two brave boys, we've gone, fuck this, we're out of here, and we've legged it as fast as we can. Now we can't see these people again. They're vanished, literally gone. And I've got an automatic. So we jump in the truck, turn it on, put it into drive, and it stalls.
Autos don't stall.
Exactly. Unbeknown to us, 2 or 3 other people within the paranormal group had the same issue at the same time.
Really?
Yes. So we're driving home. So we go for everything again, start the truck, head home. And I see my boy and his girlfriend holding their necks. And I'm like, you guys okay? And they've both gone, we've got a stabbing pain in the left side of our neck. Like, okay, this is weird. They've both got the same pain in the same part of the neck. And they're both describing the same thing. So something's not right. Anyway, we get home. Well, everyone goes to bed because it's really early hours now. And my partner was due home the next day. And we didn't think anything of it. And it was the Sunday that she was coming back. And my boy used to, when she'd go away, he'd look after the animals, very good with animals. So he'd feed them all and clean up after them. That was his job if he ever went anywhere. So she comes home Sunday evening and she goes down to look to one of the dogs that he was looking after. She comes in quite distressed going, what have you done? Have you fed her? And I said, hold on, he's fed her every day. There's no issue.
Yeah, he's done what he's supposed to do.
He's done all that, and she knew that. She said, the dog looks like it's half dead. Oh, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? Ryan's fed her every day, watered her. It wasn't in the middle of summer, so there was no dehydration. So, cut a long story short with that, I've gone into the pen, I've done the prayer of St. Michael, and while I'm in there, I'm literally, and my partner who's with me at the time, who's a big skeptic, I've been pushed out of the shed, the pen. I can actually feel, and she has big runs for the dogs, so it's not like a small pen, it's quite a big run. And she can feel, I can feel getting pushed out of the pen, and I can't go anywhere near the dog's doghouse at all. There's just no way I was going anywhere near there. So then we did this, and someone speaks to us on the Monday, and they go, Joe's dog's got this and this wrong with him. And it turned out the dog had exactly what was said. But the strange thing, the dog made a full recovery, had to have an operation, but made a full recovery. Now, I live on acreage, so to get from the dog pen...
So what was wrong with the dog? Why did it end up...
It had a urinary infection, and that was someone that actually said that was wrong with the dog. And it was a urinary infection, and they had to do an operation. And the dog made 100% full recovery. During that Monday, my boy receives a text message from a girl up the road who was riding a horse down the road. Who was the person in black that was in the dog yard? And I've seen the text message, and I was going, well, there was no one. And she'd riding a horse, and I live on acreage, so there's a big gap between where the dog pens are, and it's not like a close community where you can just jump the fence and be gone. And she's describing this black figure that's in the pen, and then she turned around on a horse and it vanished. What the fuck? So someone else who's not related to any way of what happened had seen something in the dog's pen.
So do we know the provenance in this doll now? Should you know now or not? Yeah, but where did it come from?
My understanding, it was a private person that got this doll from an antique shop, and they'd had it for a couple of weeks, and both children ended up in emergency care, as in the hospital and the emergency ward with illnesses. So it took us 2 clearings of our house and our land with crystals placed at all 4 points of our land.
That was going to be my next. That was going to be my next question. What have you done to clear that? Yeah,
and we've had no problems since. But that was all done. We had to have 2 sessions of that.
And if no one's seen that again before,
No.
After anything else like that?
Nothing at all happened in the house, but I am banned from any other haunted objects.
Yes, they are. Wow. Johnny and Overwatch, have you got anything, mate?
I was looking at haunted dolls and things, but I was trying to find one that I guess kind of looked like what you were describing, but there's not much.
No, it was. I haven't ever seen
yeah.
a doll like that before.
Yeah.
It wasn't your typical ones that you see on eBay or these other ones I have on the shows.
Yeah.
This is something. These dolls look like nothing we'd ever seen before.
Creepy, man. And then, so look, the timeline of events, your first attempt happened how long after that?
Probably a year and a half after that.
Okay. Let me.
Maybe a bit longer, but yeah, it was a time.
It was after that sometime. I'll just paint a little bit of a picture, right? So the doll goes to the church. I imagine the poor person who got the letter and a bag the next day had a bit of an interesting day.
Yeah.
So an object like that probably isn't handled on Brisbane Street. I wonder whether it'd even be handled anywhere in Australia. It might, maybe. I don't know. It'd be interesting to. I don't know. You'd know better than me.
I was told that there's a department within that church that would have handled the object, and that's all I was told.
Oh, so you were told to drop it off there?
Yeah.
There'll
be a note there, leave you at the vestry, and of course, obviously, the time. It wasn't deliberately middle of the night, but we were in Ipswich at the time, so we dropped it off there at that time. There was no rhyme or reason for that. There was nothing malicious in anything like that.
Yeah. And so that was part of what you did?
Yeah, we were just in Ipswich at that time, so we'll just drop it off after we've written the note at McDonald's.
And so what have you? Okay, so you've done your land. What have you done personally to clear yourself of that?
Nothing. I felt fine. Felt fine after that. Like I said,
not to be a little smart ass, but obviously not. Not to be cheeky, but I just wonder, man, and I wonder whether there's something in that as part of your journey of self that you're currently on. I would implore you, and almost like I've been driven to say this to you, to look at your own energetic sphere, right? And what is within your energetic sphere. Because obviously you're not as sensitive as your son is, right? Everyone's got different gifts and different talents, yeah? Yeah, and I'm sure you'd say that as well within the paranormal, right? Everyone's got different understandings. So it's, I wonder whether that's part of you would know people that could help you. And I think
I've got a friend that would have done a cleansing and that. I am very much of the belief if you give something intent, that you're letting it in. It's very much what I'm very much with.
Oh, it's definitely about intent, but there's also other things too. We sort of started talking about genetic trauma, right? Genetic predispositions, generational trauma, things that are carried over from our parents, and things that are carried over from even before our parents. You know what I mean? Like there's a long list of things that can potentially happen there. However, also, you know, again, let's work on what if 1% is true, right? So you've seen all these haunted objects and only one really freaked you right out, right? Where did that come from? What energy did that have? And if it hooked into your son, it's if you think about the sphere of influence that it affected, right?
Yeah.
You're in the middle of that. Right. These things, obviously it wasn't affecting you it couldn't affect you directly as much as it wanted to.
Yeah.
But you were the one given responsibility. You were the one that made the decision to get rid of it. You were the one that did that. So what it did is it affected everybody around you, right?
Correct.
I would guess that it actually affected you as well. And I wonder whether these two things somewhat go together, right? If you, a year and a half after that, or, within the 12, 18 months, how long did it take that dole to get processed?
It's possible. It's possible.
You know what I mean?
Yep. It never entered my mind after it'd gone. To be honest with you, we just went, that's it, got rid of that. That was a pain in the ass. And the missus saying, you're not having anything more like that in the house. And that was it. It was closed conversation. That's done, dusted. Place got blessed. The crystals were placed at the 4 points, and that was it, done. And that was case closed. And that's very much how I operate anyway. That's it, done, dusted. We don't need to go any further with it. And that was it. Everything moved on. To say it was relevant to the suicide, I can't say.
Okay.
All I knew is subconsciously this is what I was going to do, and I was comfortable doing it. And I was in people watching this will be thinking, how can he explain it this way? But I'll talk more about the second attempt, about how I felt. But I was at peace. It was quite a peaceful. Everything was in slow motion. I was more than happy, if that makes sense.
Would have you said you had reason prior to that? Because I mean, like I said, I've thought about it. I had a plan, had a couple of plans, and obviously I'm still here. However, I'm not saying it was premeditated, but I was like, you didn't. Even now, you still don't think that it was just that night something went like that.
That's what it was like. Maybe subconsciously something had been building over time, and a counsellor has said that there'd been building, stuff had obviously been building for a while that I didn't realise or know.
Oh, look, there's suppression. We'll talk about that. There's suppression of trauma that does affect that sort of stuff, definitely.
But it was just, and I said it wasn't on a whim. It was one of these things I knew exactly what I was going to do, and it just came into my head. This is what I'm going to do. I'm done. That's cool. And that's what it was like. That was the first attempt. The sad thing is there was literally no, as such, aftercare. I was literally sent out on the street at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and my partner said, well, what do we do with him? We don't know what to do with him. And it was like, well, were you saying you can't look after him?
So that means you go away to the funny farm then?
Exactly. And I have spent a few days in mental health ward. I'm comfortable to say that I've always been of the opinion there's more people deserving of that treatment than me. There's a lot worse people in a lot worse situation than me.
Look, when we talk about being mentally disturbed, one of the things they did here, probably before you came to Australia, Leigh, is that in the 90s, one of the governments, we had institutions, right, that would house the mentally ill. We had institutions. And long story short, he let them all out, gave them pharmaceuticals and let them out on the street. And there was for a long time here in Australia, there was an issue with that, right? Because they had, sometimes there is people that are mentally disturbed. This is a reality of existence as well.
Correct.
Like that's, we've all seen the crazy person wander in the streets talking to themselves, dressed. You know what I mean? Like that they're not here; they're somewhere else. So, so no, so you didn't take enough. Like, forgive me for being blunt, but you didn't take enough.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and that was it. So. Then I started seeing a psychiatrist, etc. And the psychiatrist I've had is amazing because he didn't believe in just upping more and more drugs into my body.
Good.
He's very much, let's get to the root cause of this. But that was the only real assistance I had from the community. It was that there's a cafe you can go to if you want, but you don't want to discuss when you're going through that. in an open setting with lots of people.
Yeah.
It's an intimate thing when you're discussing that, and there's things I discuss with my psychiatrist that I would never discuss with anyone else.
So afterwards, were you surprised that you did it?
No.
Okay.
No. No. And I mean, we made a bit of a joke about it on the first anniversary. I got a balloon and a card, and that was our way. It was gallows humour of dealing with it. Last year, November the 30th and the 31st, whatever it was, that was our way of dealing with it, having a cake, candle. And I just said concerns to my psychiatrist, like, I'm really dreading this coming up. It's a bit awkward, not so much dread, but I felt uncomfortable with it.
There was a marker.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said, well, make a bit of a joke about it. And that's what I did. Made a bit of a joke about it. And then time went on and everything was good. And then probably I could feel something wasn't right. Before then, I'd had what's called ECG therapy, where they put you into a relaxed state using general anesthetic, and they they cause you to fit. Okay.
So it's like shock therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did the first one, and I actually woke up in the middle of it. And it was just the most horrific thing I've ever experienced in my life, when you've got something going on and you've got no control. So we had that. But anyway, moving forward to the last 8 weeks, it'd been building for a while. There was some stuff going on in my life, and there was stuff going on. It was building up and it was building up. And I just went, fuck this. I know how to do it. I'm going to do it this time properly. Went through the same procedure, but this time I knew what I needed to do.
But you're skipping over, right? I appreciate the fact that you're willing to share the experience, and I'm sure people will appreciate that. You just said that you woke up in the middle of shock therapy.
Yeah.
That's going to mess with your head more than, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally messing with your head. However, you know, if you were supposed to be reset during that time, if that's what that therapy is designed to do, I imagine some variation of that, try and reset the electrical circuits and get them to run properly. You wake up in the middle of that, there's going to be some side effects from that. You know what I mean? Like,
I felt I'd done 10 rounds in Mike Tyson. I was so sore, and I remember it, and none of the nurses said anything to me, but my psychiatrist was trying to get hold of me the next day. And I was meant to have treatment on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and he was trying to ring me, and I really want to talk to anyone, because it's a very Victorian way of dealing with it.
Yes, I didn't realise they still did shock therapy until this minute. To be
they've just got a fancy name for it, and most mental health medications or facilities, it's still very Victorian. They haven't advanced a great deal in the medications or the treatments.
All they've done is literally they can put you under to do it. That's the only. Okay, I mean, you understand too that with SSRIs they don't actually know how they work.
Yeah,
they just know that sometimes they work.
And all I do know is if you miss them, it's pretty rough. Your body literally almost shuts down. It's like.
So that means
cold turkey.
You're gaining a dependence on them in a sense.
Yes, yeah. I get chronic headaches, vomiting, would shake uncontrollably, sweat, couldn't open my eyes, literally couldn't move if I've missed a day.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. It's so painful until you pop them again in the morning. So you can never miss a day because you'll know about it. The headaches, the aches, it is literally like a drug withdrawal.
So, yeah, maybe, and that's probably going to make you feel a bit suicidal as well.
I've only ever missed them a couple of times, and I've known about it, and it's like there's no way I'm fucking missing them again, because you go through hell for those few hours.
So in a way, they're creating a dependence on the medication.
Correct. Yes, they are.
So, you had your medication changed prior to the second event, or was it that you had the shock?
No,
you woke up like.
My medication's been the same for the last couple of years. There's been a couple of little changes. They tried us on lithium. And I had no idea what that was. I thought that can't be the same as the stuff they put in batteries. And it was.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And I had a very averse reaction to that. And
Oh, surprise, surprise, you're not supposed to have with, yeah.
exactly. And we stopped that within a couple of weeks. I was stopped. Medications, they've never been upped. This psychiatrist has been, and I can't say enough about him, is he hasn't just doped me up to the eyeballs from.
That's really good. I'm really pleased to hear that. I'm pleased to hear that he's actually a mental health specialist. So, I mean, and look, you go as deep as you would want to.
Yep.
Root cause, childhood trauma, like most of us, or is there? I mean, I've found through my journey, and I never made it to the psychiatrist, but I've spoken to many psychologists. I've done my appointments more than once, my 6 appointments or whatever you get. You know what I mean? There's different triggers, different things, and well, there's markers, right? I think it's, what do they say, like 8, 16, 25 or whatever it is. Like there's markers where you should be at a level of maturity mentally.
Correct.
And things happen and they mark your existence. And then the next goal is puberty, and the next goal is, 21, 25, right? So is it?
What I'll say is I went to the psychiatric registrar a week to 2 weeks after my last attempt, and no one up to the last few weeks has told me how close I come to dying. So we were talking 2 minutes or so. There was a problem. But anyway, we went to psychiatric registrar and they did an evaluation on me. And I thought, because I don't like talking about things, and I thought, I don't know this guy. I'm not going to say too much. And the report went to my psychiatrist. It was a 4 or 5 page report. And as we spoke about earlier, you feel fucking violated when they read this report out to you. It's like, did I say that? Where's he got that from? But the thing is, he's right.
He's true, yeah.
Yeah, and they strip it back, and you go, I'm a 55-year-old man, and your first reaction is, I'm fucked. Stuff that's happened when I was, and I'm going to be careful what I say because there's people still alive. And
no, that's what I mean. Don't you go as, look, you can encapsulate it in childhood or generational trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was things then I'm thinking, now that has affected all these decisions in my life in different ways and different relationships. And it's not the person you recognise. Oh, I pulled that to bed when I was 40. And, that's how you thought. It was like, that doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
And then when they did the analysis and they're going through all this and going, well, this has caused this has caused that. And you feel broken. And it's like, well, I'm a 55-year-old guy. I've worked my whole life, done this, done that. Or where's this coming from? Because you suppress.
Yeah, you
memories.
suppress. And as a male, and look, you're firmly, Gen X, right? So you're above us. It's even we don't. My generation. So I'm 43 now, right?
Yeah.
My generation is more open to discussing these things.
Yes.
But even the 12-year difference between us, you just didn't talk about it.
No.
Harden the fuck up, basically. Drink a teaspoon of concrete.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Get on with it. You got to support your family, and there's a lot of guys in my generation that are going through the same thing.
Well, they're waking up now, aren't they? Yeah. Because the tools are at our fingertips now, and enough men have spoken out, and you go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, well, that happened to me.
Yeah.
Or a version of that happened to me. We don't all have, no one has the same story, but we all have similar stories. I was, well, it was only a few years ago that I could speak about, the fact that I was molested when I was 9, right? That affected the rest of my existence. Still does to a degree, right? There's a whole heap of stuff, but you can put it down to childhood trauma. For me, the fact that my name is Triffin was enough, which is hard to deal with in 2025, because in 2025 everyone thinks it's an awesome name.
Yeah.
They did not think that in the 80s.
No,
Right? They did not think that in Central Victoria in the 80s, mate. In the early,
I can imagine.
they did not think that. And I'm a bit of a weirdo, as you know, as advertised, right? So it's like I didn't have much of a chance, and we all saw different things. And I think, I mean, one of the things that I was surprised with you when you said it happened again and you wanted to talk about it. Is that the reason you want to talk about it, or why all of a sudden are you here letting me grill you? Because you just said you don't like to talk.
Yeah. Well, I'm comfortable with you, but also there's a lot of men going through this that don't know who to turn to, don't know who to speak to, that are on that path. And if by someone speaking out, and I'm no hero or anything, I've got a lot of faults.
Oh, no one's
and
perfect,
I'm not some shining light.
mate.
But if my story can get one person to go, I don't want to go down that road, because there's nothing pleasant. And I can tell you now, the last 8 weeks, there's been nothing. There's been one or two highlights to that period, but there's been nothing nice. Nothing nice.
You're sitting in the shadows, man.
Yeah. It's been a struggle.
Yeah, you're in the dark night of the soul, brother. That's what you're in. You're in the dark night of the soul. You are, and you are facing certain things.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's for me, mushrooms really help me, and using them medicinally, psilocybin has really helped me. And for me, it was like I would sit here and I'd be working or something, and I'd just get a cascade of things. It's like, oh, that happened, this happened, and that caused you to do this, and that's why you act like that. And then it's like, oh no, because inevitably you must take responsibility for your actions, because you've contributed. Not the hard thing for people to grasp when they're sitting in the shit is that a vast percentage of it is probably your fault.
Mm-hmm.
You have trauma that you've suffered, and that's caused you to act in certain ways. There's no doubt about that. However, you chose to do that.
Yep.
Right? You chose to act that way. You chose to be that way. You chose to react like that. You chose to do that.
That's correct. It was my choice.
And you've heard, and as all of us that have suffered depression and things, things happen, and you generally hurt the person who's closest to you, that deserves it the least. That's the it's like they are just trying to help you, but they can't, because we don't know how to talk. Because as men, we don't know how to talk. And I think, this show, like I said earlier, this, depending on how I release them, this could be episode 250, right? So it's like, you go back to episodes 1 through 100. There's the Quest for Self series, and that was me really trying to figure my own mental health out, because I sort of realized, for me, I nearly died from a jungle virus in 2013.
Okay.
I was working in Papua New Guinea, got bitten by a mosquito. Long story short, January, Australia Day, January, through to about May. I don't have any recollection.
Wow.
Lost a whole heap of muscle mass. I was sleeping 16, 18 hours a day. It was called chikungunya, which sounds like you order it with a side of rice at a Thai restaurant. You know what I mean? That's it. But and it was that when I finally got better from that, and it was only Alpha Brain, New Mood, some of these natural supplements that really actually helped me sort of rebuild the wiring in my brain, because my brain boiled for like 2 weeks, and it was me coming out of that and realizing that once I sort of came to, I started researching about, what happens to people whose brains boil for that amount of time. And, I should have brain damage, right? And here's Western medicine, when I went to the hospital, Ipswich Hospital, they had no idea what was wrong with me. They basically said, call your parents, your white blood cells are crashing, you're going to die, basically. And my wife bought in a whole heap of bush flower essences and natural remedies and force-fed me vitamins, and I'm here today because of those natural remedies, because she bolstered my system up while I was down. You know, and look, during that period, I've no recollection of anything. Like,
No.
there's 4 months of my life gone. And I think I came out of that with a fresh perspective. It's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? That's the reason I do this. That's the reason I changed my career. It's the reason, because I'm like, I need to do something for me, right? And that's something that you're struggling with at the moment, trying to
Yeah,
figure out how to look after you at 55.
exactly. And it's when they gave us the report, and I didn't recognize the guy they were talking about. And it's like you've lost your identity.
In what sense? When you say you've lost your identity, were
When,
so basically they called your trauma out and they were right, and you went, oh no, or like,
yeah, it was very much like, so that shit happened when I was that age. How's that affecting me at 55 that's contributed to me trying to kill myself twice?
mm,
And wanting to do it twice because I wasn't successful the first time. So I'd learned how to do it better this time.
mm,
I'd had my trial run, and I say it sounds a bit gallows humour, but I'd had my trial run. This is what I knew I was to do.
mm.
Trying to,
But this is post Cardwell, right? This is
yeah, 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 yeah. And it had been building for a while, and Cardwell was awesome. So that wasn't the trigger.
no, no, yeah,
And we don't know what the trigger is, and I
yeah.
genuinely don't. I can look you in the eye and say I have no idea what the trigger was for it.
Mm,
It was a Saturday, and I was like, I'm done. I did a few things, and with people that are going through this, and not people who just talk about it, people who are actually going to who go to this stage, you make sure everything's in order.
mm.
You're very anal. Um, I don't know if I should say too much, but the world slows
You
down.
crossed your T's and dot your
Yeah,
I's.
the world slows down, and it's very hard for people to understand. There's people in my life that don't have probably 100% grasp of mental health. So when you say like, I was at peace, this is brilliant. I'm done, dusted. Few people in my life struggle with that one,
Mm.
and it's like,
Well, people who love you, it's like, how could you do that?
yeah, and it's
How could
like,
you feel that way? How could you? How could you? Yeah.
yeah, and it's a difficult one. It's a
Mhm.
very, very difficult one because it to anyone who of a certain intelligence, it's an option. Doesn't mean it's the correct option,
Mm.
and it means it's an option. Um, yeah, there's a lot of what I'm having to do now, a lot of therapy, um, is helping to redefine who I am.
Mhm.
And a lot of it is a lot of soul searching. It's very, very invasive.
Yeah. Look, you how I would describe it, and I've been through 3 dark nights of the soul probably since 2020, I think, um, for various reasons. I've had 3 or 4, four medicinal psychedelic trips in that stage. One of them was in a group setting. The other few were with a good friend of mine, and we've gone in together and we do medicinally. And you're in the dark night of the soul, man. And the thing is, what you're, it's hard. So I imagine, I, I wonder if you want to echo this too, John. Is it hard for you guys to receive a compliment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it hard for you guys to see the good work that you've actually done?
I would say I prefer helping someone who's having a struggle because I don't have to talk about
You
myself.
don't have to focus on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the giggles enough there, John. No.
Yeah, sorry. No, I'm not. I'm relating to that.
I
It's
was with a friend last night, and it's the same thing. They were going through some dramas, and I was talking to them about it, and it's like I don't have to fucking talk about
Yeah, I
myself.
don't have to say anything.
I'm a lot of empathy for you, but I don't have to say fuck all about myself.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah,
And I think that the thing about any period of self-reflection, and John's actually just been through one himself. He injured himself earlier this year. He's been off work for the last 8 months. He's had no choice but to reflect because he couldn't move for quite a period of time.
Yep.
And it's during that it's the dark night of the soul, boys. It's that introspection and it's that reflection. And you're in a place now where you need to decide what you're going to do,
Mm.
right? And who are you going to be?
correct.
Are you going to be Leigh? Are you going to be John? Am I going to be Truth? And are we going to be true essences of ourselves? Right. And like I said, the Sanctum and everything that you see in the video that you're watching on YouTube now, there's a manifestation of my journey of mental health. Right. Because I found something, you guys are sitting in the thing that I do for me.
Mm.
Right. And I do that because I have to. Because you can't be, it's one of those things, right? And you've said it a few times tonight, Leigh. You know, I've worked on my life, I look after my kids, da 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 da. Cool. I'm sure you've done an excellent job. However, you can't be the best father, the best husband, the best friend, the best whatever you want to be if you can't look after yourself.
Correct.
And the fact that you've tried the exit strategy a couple of times means that you're not doing that.
Mm.
But I suppose the question you're facing now is how and what.
And what you get told a lot when we talk about that is they say be kind to yourself.
Mm.
And as we spoke off air, what the fuck do I do to be kind? I've worked 5-6 days a week,
Forever.
long hours, forever since I was a young kid, a young lad.
Mm.
What the fuck do I do?
How do you be kind for yourself? How do you?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, okay, let me ask you another question. You are that negative to yourself in your own mind. That's why a lot of things that you and he's a little bit vulnerability because it's totally true for me is I'm perceived to be cool under pressure.
Mm.
I'm not most of the time. I'm like a duck on the pond, right? It's going crazy underneath. You just can't see. But also when I get into negative situations or crazy situations, I'm that harsh on myself internally that doesn't matter what anyone else does to me because no one's as mean to me as I am.
That's correct.
Correct? What
Yep.
about you, John? I reckon correct?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And that's when someone says to you, what do you do for you? And you've just looked at me and gone, I don't know.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how do we answer that question? And it goes back to, okay, so why am I doing the podcast right now? Okay. I had to ask myself this question. I realized that I needed to find something to do for me outside of my wife, outside of my kids, outside of my family, outside of my work, I needed to have something that I had for me. And it's like sometimes we get stuck, especially when we suffered childhood trauma, we don't see the positive.
Correct.
Right? We can hyper focus on the negative because that's the human condition, especially if you're, like we just all admitted, we're harsher to ourselves than we are to anything else. Right? So you can't see the positive. Yeah. So I stepped outside of myself and went, okay, well, number one, podcasts, when I was coming out of being sick, I found Joe Rogan, I found Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, and I'm like, and Alpha Brain, which I would recommend to you, sir, Alpha Brain. It didn't work for John. John didn't like Alpha Brain, and it doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for me. It's a nootropic, right? I'd recommend trialing nootropics.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a really good idea. Natural medicines that stimulate brain activity. Alpha Brain worked for me, New Mood worked for me. That I found that through podcasting. I found that he was asking questions that were talking about mental health, and I was listening to a lot of mental health stuff back in the day, trying to find a way forward. And it's like, okay, we're just big kids, yeah?
Yeah.
The toys just get better, right? Okay.
And more expensive.
And more expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question you need to ask yourself, the question is, how do I be kind to myself? How do I find something that I can give passion to that will help me be a better person, a better father, a better husband, right? Number one, and you might be a bit early in the process, you have to do it for you.
Correct.
It's not for the missus, it's not for the boy, it's not for the girls, it's for you. Right. And I got that wrong to start with. Right. When on my start of my journey, I'm like, I've got to be better for my wife. I've got to be better for my daughters. Yep. Right. It's not about that. It is about that. Absolutely. However, the primary reasons needs to be, this is for you.
Yep.
And you alone. Right. And so then the question is, what did you like to do when you were still innocent? Before the world went, right? Before the smackdown, before the first lot of trauma, before, right? Within yourself, inside the stoic, hardworking man that you have been and still continue to be, there's a little boy in there that wants to have fun.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And for me, it was two main things. I love riding bikes. Riding bikes was my freedom. Right? That's the reason there's a mountain bike out there.
Yeah.
Right? So I think on Strava, I'm about to break 400. I'm aiming for 400 Ks this year. I've done on that bike. And most of that is mental health stuff.
Yep.
I've got lucky enough to have the rail trail just there. I ride 20 Ks and just go through my mind. Right. And that's something that I love doing, always loved doing. So, because when I came out of being sick, all I'd eaten was pasta and I'd taken a lot of really nasty drugs and I was overweight and I was unfit and it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. So I was trying to find a way forward. And look, the like the massive amount of weight and everything that I did to my body through those drugs and that illness, I'm still dealing with today, in a manner of speaking. And then I thought to myself, I changed my career. So I was working FIFO, and I remember working FIFO and my brain wasn't right. Like I said, my brain bought 2 weeks, and I would come to driving the ute in the middle of the yard and not know how I got there. And I'm like, this is dangerous. I don't remember driving the ute, but I'm in the middle of the yard driving a Hilux. Had no recollection. That's what led me to Alpha Brain. So I've got to change this up. You know, Kath was pregnant with Aurora. So I need to come home, and I changed my career. I became a teacher, and I had no idea what teaching would teach me. Right. Stop saying right. I've got a note here. I'm trying. And so basically what I found, because I was trying to figure this stuff out, I was teaching logistics classes, warehousing, teaching Cert 3 in warehousing. And I started talking about mental health stuff, and a lot of the blokes in the room would resonate with it, but I didn't have time because I've got a curriculum. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to only do 1 day on, mental health and environmental and stuff, whereas I could have done 5 days. And then there was this question. It's like, what did you like to do when you were younger? Well, when I was young, I lived in Ballarat in Victoria. It's a cold, terrible, miserable place, right? It's not too different to Milton Keynes, right, as far as temperature and crap is concerned. And so my cousin gave me one of those old boom boxes, right? You remember the double tape decks?
Yep.
And you could record tapes. They had a crappy little mic on it and you could record tapes. And me and my friends would sit in my room and tell jokes into this tape deck and think we were hilarious, right? We think we were really funny. Obviously, I wish I had those tapes. I don't know where they went or wherever they ended up, but I wish I had them. They'd be pretty interesting to listen to. And then fast forward in high school, there's a whole, I went from Ballarat to Gove, and there's a lot of problems there. However, the positive thing that came out of that is I did a radio show. Right. So here we are, fast forward. And I decided to start the podcast to have these discussions that we're having tonight, and also to talk about megaliths and aliens and all the things that I've been researching since I was 10. And this is the thing, boys, and for all those listening, if you want to be kind to yourself, you need to figure out what it is you need to do for you. Now, I would recommend it not be drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Right. I'd recommend, well, I think, oh, yeah, you're taking me back now. Because this was discussions we had 8 years ago. So, Miyamoto Musashi, right? You go back to samurai tradition. Before we all jump to the warrior. Everyone wants to be the warrior.
Mm-hmm.
There's 5 rings. It's the book of 5 rings. The artist, the lover, the father, the healer, and then the warrior. So in that tradition, in that martial tradition, you could not pick up the sword until you'd mastered the other 4. And as men, we were only told, and the thing is too, when we look at generational trauma, we need to understand that our fathers' fathers fought in Vietnam, World War II, World War One.
Right.
And even worse for you coming from the UK.
Yep.
The bombings, the trauma, the unbelievable collective trauma that was experienced in that time. So they didn't have any idea how to express themselves, right? Tell you, even our fathers now, you've got to be a lover, a healer, and an artist. Like they'd just laugh at you, right? However you do. So it's like there's those 5 things. Sure, train, be physically fit. It's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Physical health and mental health are tied together desperately, right? And like I said, I haven't taken SSRIs. There's times in my life I probably should have, maybe. I've reached times where I probably should have. There's a reason I've got a Facebook gym out there. I punish myself out there because that allows me to express those darker emotions, right? So you need to stop saying it. So you need to address, let's bring it down simple: mind, body, soul. What are you doing to service your body? What are you doing to service your mind? And what are you doing to help your soul? You need to address those 3. And you can do it through art, healing, love. And the lover is not sexual in a way. Right?
No.
So do you love what you do? Do you love life? We've had some pretty dark discussions about society recently, John, and we keep coming back to love as the answer, right?
It is, yes.
However, you've got to fill your own cup first.
Yep.
Because if you don't, like you boys just said, and me too, right? I'll jump to help anybody and give them the shirt off my back. I'm one of those guys. I will do that, not a problem. And that doesn't help me though.
No.
It doesn't help me. It doesn't help us. But we don't have to face the things that we need to face, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to think about how you can service those 3, the 3-part being that you are, with positive reinforcement. And I think something I'm very, very much still working on is heart energy. You need to come from your heart. Now, as a man, and it's a lot more difficult these days because there's a reason we've been having discussions about the fall of Western society, because it's happening. And we may need to be warriors in the very near future. We may need to do things we don't necessarily want to do, but we may have to do. However, we still need to find balance. So you need to think about, again, mind, body, soul. How are you servicing the 5-part being that you are? And you got to listen to yourself. And I know we were speaking before we turned on the mics, I think, and, I'm not a doctor, obviously. I'm a sophomaniac, right? A sophomaniac is someone who has the delusion that they're intelligently, okay? That's what I am. So just that being said, I do think psychedelics are very useful, used in a medicinal sense, because if I was to say one thing that has helped me, it's that.
And they are becoming more widely available in the mental health field.
Well, with them, you might stand a chance getting off those pills, man.
And I think I look back on some of the stuff. I hope that doctors are a bit more responsible, and I'm not trying to shift blame for what's happened to me. A little bit more responsible if I just sling people onto pills.
Yeah, well, they get paid to do that, don't they? This
Mhm.
is the problem. The pharmaceutical industrial complex is a dark machine, as we've seen over the last few years. That's the reality of existence. The curtain has been pulled back, and they have. Yeah, and the thing is too, like I've said a couple of times, I haven't taken SSRIs. I've been given more than a few packets.
Yeah,
because they had them in the desk drawer.
exactly.
You go to the doctor. I'm depressed. Here, try these. I remember being sick. Like I have flashbacks of when I was sick, right? And one of the things I had was Valium
Yep.
to assist with pain and just to bring down the inflammation. I paid $12 for 60 Valium or something like it was some ridiculous price. It was like $12 for 60 Valium. That's like no wonder people are addicted.
Yep.
Like it's no wonder.
Mhm.
It's the same as the oxycodone.
Yeah.
In America, the outbreak of that.
Yeah.
It's the same
Mm.
with antidepressants.
Mhm. They're just, and they don't know how they work.
No.
You know, because I mean, I don't want to denigrate your trauma, man. I don't want to denigrate your experience. However, in my mind, because in logistics, which you can understand, because so were you, I see, yes, I'll take the pills. No, I won't.
Mm.
And the two attempts you've made have been using the pills that they gave you.
Yep. And I think there's also a lot of the stuff that I didn't realise.
Oh, look, and as I say,
Mm.
things have built up, right?
Yeah.
As I say, you are. So we had Brian pass away recently,
Yes.
and there was it's mortality, man. I was facing my mortality,
Mm.
right? I think what I'm going to do, mate. Thanks, Pat.
You can,
Thanks, Pat. I'm going to tow my cigar as well. Pat the bearded hippo left a nice stogie here for me, so I'm going to use it. So I haven't had a cigar in a while, so why not? But there's a mortality that we're facing. We're not getting any younger. In fact, the sun is going down. It's not going up. You know, there's, as you say, just testosterone is dropping. You know, like all these things are happening to our bodies. And then you go to the doctor and say, I don't feel good. And they give you 4 boxes of pills. You'll feel better. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's not lose 20 kilos, get fit, eat healthy, feel better. Here's some vitamins that'll help you, the testosterone. Here's some things that'll help you feel better. And surprise, surprise, you know, like it's actually been proven to be more effective than SSRIs. And I think the experiments they've done with MDMA in particular, psilocybin in particular, what's it, MDMA, psilocybin, there's another one, there's the nasty one, the cactus. I can't remember. It's not peyote. I can't remember what it is. However, because we all have PTSD.
Mm.
It's just it was recognized in the soldiers.
Yeah.
But we all have it. Those that have lived a life, that have lived in existence, that was not silver spoon fed,
yeah.
We've all been through our fair share of shit. And it does cause trauma.
Mescaline.
Sorry, mate.
Mescaline? Is that the one you're looking for?
Yeah, mescaline. Mescaline's one of them. No, it's not there. It's
San Pedro.
St. Pedro, I think it's St. Pedro's casket, but that's the one that gets people off the pills. Like you do. Apparently, it's not friendly at all. It's not a fun time at all.
No.
However, none of them really are. Right? I in one breath, do I think everybody should do 2 grams of mushrooms? Yes, I do. I seriously do. However, is it going to be fun? No, it's not. It's not fun. Look, parts of it are great. You know, some of it you feel fantastic, right? Part of the reason that they help you, same with DMT, right? So, you know, DMT, when I took DMT when I was 26, it showed me what universal love was. Source. I got access to source. I felt the pure source energy. right? And I realized two things came out of the initial DMT that will inform me for the rest of my life. You can do and be whoever you want to be. However, you need to understand that it's you, right? It is you that's doing that. And the other one was the bubble theory. And this is actually true. So you have a bubble around you, which you do. You have a bubble of energy. It extends, ours are probably extending, probably meeting somewhere in the table, right? There's about 3 foot around us. We've both got energy bubbles around us. Whatever you let into that bubble is your responsibility because you let it in.
It's really funny you say that. I've got a friend and they talk about the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about a lot about their bubble and being in their bubble.
Well, you do. You have a bubble of energy around you and you're responsible for what goes in it. And unfortunately, I think as men, we don't want to. There's two sides to this. It's like one side will take radical responsibility of a lot of things. And the other side of it is that we don't take responsibility for the things that we've done ourselves at times.
Yeah.
And we can shift that blame. And we shift it in a way that doesn't help. And it's yeah. Sorry, John,
No, I coughed and I do apologize, but no, I was just about to say, or, I was just thinking that I think ego has a lot to do with that. And trying to overcome that ego and that self-centeredness in a lot of ways, and understanding, because, we were talking about self and looking after yourself, but it's also understanding that, what self is and that it's not selfish.
No, that's right.
Yeah,
Exactly. And yeah, spot on, man. Spot on. Spot on. Yeah. It's not,
yeah,
like I just said, you can't be the best husband, father, friend, whatever you
No.
want to be unless you look after yourself. And
mhm,
it's not selfish. It can be, you can get self-absorbed. That's a different thing.
yeah.
However, you've got to look, yeah. But we've also got one of the hardest things, our ego won't allow us to admit that we're idiots.
Yeah. I mean, for me now, I'm spending time I'm very careful. Well, I'm not careful, so that's the wrong way. I'm selective who I spend my time with.
Mhm.
So you should be.
And and if I can't do anything or don't want to do something, I'm not doing it now. So,
And you don't have to.
yeah. And instead of adapting to a situation where there was bad behavior and where you've adapted to it, it's now like, I'm just not going to go there. I'm not going to give it airtime.
Mhm.
No, we don't.
No.
Yeah.
You see things very differently after some of the therapies, and some of the therapies we're on at the moment is exactly what they treated PTSD for.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, man.
Mm.
What has happened is that you've had things that have happened to you in your past that have rewritten your wiring that caused you to act and react in certain ways since then for however long, right? It is PTSD in a sense. Yeah. Like it really is, and it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
Like it's the, how are you, mate? Living the dream, mate. Living the dream. Yeah. And I think I also experienced something that was, I worked FIFO 16 years. So I knew a fair few guys that topped themselves working FIFO. And the thing is, you've got there's a dichotomy there because it's like, oh, they got all the toys, they got all the money, they got everything that they won the game. They won the game as far as we've been told. They won the game. They still did it to the point where having breakfast, was working in WA, having breakfast with a guy. I knew him, but I didn't know him. We had a beer. He was just another guy that was on the same swing as me. You're out in the middle of nowhere together. You talk to people, right?
Yeah.
He was at the table with a bunch of us. We're having bacon and eggs as we usually did on a weekend. It was a sad day. And he goes, I just forgot something in my room. Went back, killed himself. And it's like, if you had to ask me at breakfast whether anything was wrong with him, I said, no, he's all right.
Exactly how it goes.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like what is the what is the male suicide rate in Australia these days, John? on a yearly basis? I'm curious what the government will tell us. It'll be a lie. However, I'm curious.
It's so roughly 8 men take their life every day, accounting to about 3,000 deaths per year.
Mm.
2023 total of 2,419 men died compared to 795 women. So
That's a lie because that was the height of COVID. I know
yeah,
the numbers were skewed then. I know
yeah,
because I spoke to Neil. He was in the thing. That's not right. It's at least
yeah,
double that for 22, 23.
yeah.
Well, 21, 22, 23, it was at least double because most men live for their work.
Yep.
And they were made to stay at home and they don't. Yeah. So it was at least double that during those years. I do know that. But I mean, let's say it's 8 a day. So what's that? Every 3 hours? So
Yep.
since you've been here
Essentially.
tonight,
Yep.
since you've been here tonight, it's at least one or two. Night time's always the worst. Christmas time's always the worst.
Yep.
End of the year.
And there is still a stigma with it.
Mhm.
The amount of people that come up to me and say, I mean, when we first spoke about it off air a few weeks ago, some of the guys were like, how do I deal with this? And I made the joke about there's no fucking light at the end of the tunnel. And it's like, and the ones with the gallows humor got it. Other guys were like, shit, how can he say that? And you saw the reaction.
Yeah, but see, having gallows humor is a good thing and a bad thing because if you've got gallows humor, that means you've seen some shit, which means you've probably got some trauma. That's why you think it's funny.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what I say. I was no fucking light at the end of the tunnel for me. I got that one wrong.
So you did. Oh well, let's explore that for a second. So second time did a better job, but you didn't see anything. There was nothing.
No, I just woke up, and I wasn't told until last week how serious the condition I was in, and I'm still dealing with that on a very personal level. How close
How close you went to the line?
It was very, very close. We were on the line, and I think we'll leave that part there at that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing in Australia and the world is there's still a massive stigma around mental health. And no matter what governments say or anyone in the press, there's still a big stigma. And companies don't want to go near people that have had mental health issues.
No, you still, yes.
There's still a massive stigma, and that's what a lot of the reason why a lot of men won't speak up.
Well, look, I think, and one of the reasons that I get on the show and I share my own experience as openly as I can, without involving people that are still awake and alive and all that sort of stuff, is because I said before, no one's as mean to me as I am.
Yeah.
I was teased, I was bullied, I was beaten for many years during primary school and high school till I filled out and learned how to fight, and then I've held my own since then. However, that stigma and trauma echoes long, and I thought to myself when I started the show, I was like, okay, you can turn that into a good thing. So it's like, okay, I can speak about anything because what's anyone going to do? And I don't give a fuck anyway. Like it's a marker of someone who would use it against you. It's like you just showed your hand. You're a shit cunt. Like, you just showed your hand, so it's fine. We don't deal with those people, and we have to talk about this stuff. We have to echo it, and that's why Duncan Burns. I've had him on the show. Neil, Black Dog Brotherhood. He's an ex-veteran. He did a lot of PTSD stuff, and he got himself off all his pills and everything. He's off everything now. Again, psychedelics helped him a lot to work through that process and be who he is. And he still preaches today. I think he's literally preaching. I think he's volunteered as a pastor in a prison up north, and that's what he does during the day. I think he's down here at the moment administering a men's weekend. I think the problem with men's mental health that I've had from the start, and for me, it's quite interesting because I'm a very observant person. I've been doing this for, we're heading into 9 years now that I've been doing the show. And I've watched these men's mental health gurus rise and fall through Facebook. Yeah.
Yep.
I've watched multiple generations of them rise and fall, rise and fall. And I don't have the answer. However, I know the problem. The problem is that good men want to help each other, yet we've wrapped it up in qualification, we've wrapped it up in certification, and we've wrapped it up in
Mhm.
money.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's like, cool, I'm at my lowest. I need some help. Yeah, that's great. Give me $500 a week.
Hmm.
Well, no, I don't have $500 a week. I'm at my lowest. One of the, and the fact is where men reach their lowest, they probably don't have a job. They probably don't have the means and the
Mhm.
resources. They've lost their purpose. That's the reason that they're low and they're down.
Mhm.
So it's like at their lowest, modern men's mental health wants you to give them all your money. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's not going to help your mental health.
No.
It's a
The thing
scam.
I found out after my first attempt was there was no help. And it took for the second attempt for there to be a mental health care team to help me on my way. And I think we spoke off air earlier is how many men slip through the cracks
Heaps.
because there's nothing. The health system is overwhelmed with it. I speak to my counsellors and they're very much like, we can't, we've got 3 month waiting list. 3 months is too long for mental health.
Mm.
And
Way too long.
Yeah.
3 days is too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 hours.
Well, look, I'll be honest and say I'm still on the waiting list for my next session of 6 appointments. And I think I made that request in 2023.
Mm.
Like,
And that's the problem. That is a problem.
that was 2 years ago. I've sought other therapies. You know what I mean? Because if I had to wait, if I was reliant on that therapy to stop me doing whatever, that was over 2 years ago. It was the back end of 22, 23. And I thought, oh, maybe I need to go and have another talk to someone. You know what I mean? And still on the wait list, haven't heard anything. So it's like, you are right. But you did say there's a bit more going on now. You did say you were being assisted a bit more.
This time, yes, there's been a great mental health team around me, different counsellors, different therapies that we're doing. There's been home visits, they've been checking up on us, but there was nothing 2 years ago.
Mm.
And that's what I said. No one bothered. Yeah, I was sent out the door 3 o'clock the next day. Off you go.
Still high.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm still drug fucked. And this time it's been a very different experience. It makes you want to get help because they've been there. But as I said,
they're giving you an option, haven't they?
Yeah. And the thing is, the sad thing is someone who's going for it for their first attempt, there's nothing there for them. If they're not picked up by a good psychiatric doctor who can spot the issues in the hospital at the time, if the person survived, otherwise there's nothing. There's nothing. I've just been very, very, very lucky this time and been given a different perspective.
So imagine you had years of therapy before the second attempt. Why do you think that? Why do you think, again, you're here bearing your soul to us? This episode will be heard all over the planet. What made you sit down now and do this?
What triggered it for me was the psychiatric registrar's report. That really triggered it because I was in between. Yeah, I do the therapies. Fuck you. I'll sit there and nod. And
so you weren't taking it seriously.
No, I wasn't taking it seriously. It was like there's a lot of some of the people were very woke rubbish that it was very touchy feely, and guys in my generation aren't mega touchy feely people.
No,
there was a one lady that I had 4 sessions with who was amazing. She was actually a suicide counsellor, and she was unreal. And then we had the registrar, and then you get the report, which I said is extremely violating to get that report. And it's like, well, actually, and I was talking to someone last night, it's you want to become a better version. And that's really what it is for me, is that I actually don't like this version too much. And I think there is a better version out there.
It became worth it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Would you say it was a bit of a reality check in a lot of ways?
Yes, yeah,
Yep.
because without, I said, don't go into any details. I was on the line.
Hmm.
I was on the line.
Did
And
you think you maybe mentally you thought it was a bit of a game and you didn't realize how close you were?
no, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what I was doing. And it's, no, I knew what I was doing. I 100% fully wanted to take my life.
Right. But you don't. But so you don't now, though.
No, no. I've got an amazing team around me. I've got an amazing couple of friends. But it's like learning to walk again,
Absolutely.
you know. And talking about it helps because if it can actually help someone who's sitting there going, fuck, you know. But I think we have to, like I said, we have to look at the doctors, the general GPs who just give out pills like lollies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We need to look at the mental health support networks and we need money, not virtue signaling, which a lot of the governments do.
Yeah.
We actually need to put money in there and they need to address men's mental health because there's all these other weeks and months and different names and different titles, but men in mine and yours age bracket are the prime people.
It's one of the leading
Yeah.
cause of death for men between the ages of 18 and 55.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
And it's unfashionable to talk about that. You know, as a friend says to me, we're dinosaurs. The way society has changed, that men are just forgotten about. Where is Men's Mental Health Month? Has anyone seen anything about it? There's been nothing
No.
really. And the men have become a forgotten race almost in what's going on in the world. There's a lot of other virtue signalling for a lot of other causes that probably aren't anywhere near as important.
That's true.
Masculinity is being destroyed.
Yeah, there's definite political agenda.
Yeah, well, they're trying to they're trying to lower our testosterone. They're doing all that stuff. Hey, John, I really just realised what time it is, mate. Did you want to take off, man, or you're okay for the minute?
I'm okay for the minute. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Just let me know, mate. I know it's
I'll hang in. Yeah.
well, he's down New South Wales. It's
An hour ahead.
It's 20 past 11 here.
past. I just realised what time it was. I'm like,
It's all good. It's all good.
just let me know, man.
Yeah, I'm pushing through.
All right, bud.
I'm really enjoying this conversation because it's I'm reflecting on a lot of things on my own, and it's eye opening in a lot of ways because I'm amazed at how Leigh, you've gone from 2 years ago to how, what, 8 weeks ago you said, or
Yes, yeah,
and then to and 8 weeks now, and you've completely changed your tune and essentially gone the other way, which is awesome. So well done.
But also, thank you. But also, I can't guarantee anyone here that I
Yeah.
won't do it again.
Yeah.
And that's something that you have to constantly work on. And
That's right.
I'm right at the start of my journey, and it's all new and shiny.
Yeah.
It's let's talk again in 3, 6, 9 months when you have to keep up at it. And like I said, I can't give anyone in my life a guarantee that I won't try it again. And it's not fair to do that. And it's not fair on me to say, we don't know what's around the corner. You know?
Look, I think, mate, and as I say, I wouldn't say I suffer depression anymore. I wouldn't say that. I would say that I can deal with it better. And some days, man, it's a day by day proposition, Leigh.
Yeah.
I'll be totally honest with you. You know, it's I made a knife with and Nick from NG Knives. He does a lot of men's mental health stuff as well. I'm going to get him in maybe before the new year. We'll see. However, we were having discussions about men's mental health because him and his blacksmiths mates get nude for the calendar. They make the nude blacksmiths calendar for men's mental health, and he's like, and again, it's gallows humor. He's like, yeah, no, I'm pretty good now, but every now and again, I'm driving the car and I do think, you know what I mean, like, every now and again, yeah, you're not going to do it. However, to pretend and we can laugh about it because it's true. It's not. it's something that I wrestled with forever. And I said, I don't suffer it anymore. Do I still have dark days? Of course I do. Of course I do. Uh, is there, and look, to be perfectly honest, Brian's passing brought around a whole heap of triggers that I thought I dealt with. Turns out I haven't dealt with them as much as I thought. And there's more work to be done now. And that, it's like layers of an onion, man. You'll peel back a layer and you're like, oh, yeah, I've got that. Then something else happens and it triggers you again in some way. However, we talk a lot about here at the show and have done over the years. You've got to strive to reach the observer.
Hmm.
You need to be able to step back and observe yourself doing what it is you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a question that really helped me at the start of my journey. And it's funny how it all comes back around, right? The question is, does this serve me?
Yep.
And asking yourself that.
And that's what I'm doing now. I do.
Yeah. Does this serve me?
Hmm.
And that's how I'm acting, what I'm doing, what I'm about to say, how I'm feeling. Does this serve me? Because you need to do the things that serve you. Now, obviously, you got to pay the bills. You got to do what you got to do,
Yep.
right? However, you need to carve out that time. Does this serve me? And the thing is, you need to, when we talk about mind, body, soul, through meditation, through peace and silence and sitting with yourself, excuse me, the negative voice in your head that tells you that you're a shit cunt all the time, if you do the work properly, that voice will get quieter and quieter. And another voice will replace it. And that voice is potentially your higher self or the higher version of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. We are, we're connected to source. We are an element of source. That source is more pure than we are in our three-dimensional form. And I do believe that you can access that higher part of yourself. Because it's like, does this serve me? No, you're a dickhead. No, that's not the right person I need to talk to. What am I doing? Does this serve me? And then it's like, and when you're sitting in the dark night of the soul, just keep asking yourself why.
And that's something that I'm doing now. Do I want to spend time with that person? Is that good for me? Or do I want to go and spend time with that person and that ain't so good for me? And it's making those decisions, and it's still very early into saying, no, I don't need that shit.
And what's going to happen too, mate, is you need to be prepared. And I know John's been through a bit of this in the last couple of years, is that some of the people that you considered to be your friends actually aren't.
I've lost a lot of friends through it.
Right?
They disappeared.
Yeah. But the thing is, you need to make your own tribe, right? You need to build your own tribe. And to be honest, one of the reasons I did the podcast is so I could build my own tribe.
Yeah.
Right. That's the honest truth. It's like, I need to rally my fellow weirdos. Welcome to the fold. Welcome to the fold, Leigh.
Thanks, guys. But it is, I have lost a lot of people have stopped talking to me.
Yeah.
Because one, it may be too hard, don't know what to say. Just a lot of humans are a very selfish race in their own behavior anyway. So if it's not going to service their needs, it's too fucking hard. And that's a bit raw that there's people that you've helped out in the past or done stuff with, and they've just gone.
The thing is, though, mate, and we all admitted to this earlier in the conversation, and that is that we've probably gone out of the way for people who didn't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
We've probably done things for people who didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And we need to be okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
It's got nothing to do. It's their loss, not ours.
Yeah.
That's what we need to understand. And it's like, I think it's also, as I say, it's all brand new and shiny, right? It's not really shiny though, is it?
No.
It's dark and terrible.
It's yeah. I've glossed over it. The last 8 weeks, if I'm dead honest with you, have been fucking tough.
Yeah, of course I have. But
But
so they should be.
the protective mask comes up. It's like I'm not going to tell you what it's really like. Because that's still reaching quite deep into
I
your
understand.
soul.
And you're not ready, and that's okay. The thing is, mate, is that you don't have to,
Mm.
because I know, you know that I know, and I
Mm.
know that you know, and I know that John knows that you know that I know that we know that I know that you know, right? Did you catch that? However, that it is what it is,
Mm.
because one of the things we're all battling, with the smartphones and all the things, is that we're more connected, but we're more separated,
Mhm.
and we're being made to feel like that we're alone when we're not.
Mm.
So many men are going to listen to this show and echo with what I've said, echo with what John said, echo with what you said.
Mhm.
We're not alone.
No.
We never have been.
No.
However, that's how we feel. And, it isn't too weak to speak.
No.
It isn't. And one of the things that I realized, and the reason that I do these shows when people like yourself are willing to come on and discuss these things, is because I realized through my dark night of the soul is that it actually takes more courage and willpower and just sheer determination and discipline to truly face the things. It takes more courage,
Yeah.
more willpower than it does to not talk about them. In fact, that's the not facing it is the coward's way.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's it. It is. It is what it is. And the only way forward is to face it. Now, a key piece of advice that I want to share with you guys and the listeners, and I don't know how long we've been going for. We might wrap it up in the near future. However, sometimes, so you're in an intense period of reflection. John, you've
Yeah.
been in an intense period of reflection as well.
Yes, I have.
And look, you're not up to this yet,
Mm.
because you need to recognize the man in the mirror. You don't quite recognize the man in the mirror yet, and I can see that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You will. There's going to be a few layers that peel away before you get to there. Okay. But at some point, that constant reflection and inflection doesn't serve you. And there'll come a point where it's like, okay, I understand that I've been part of this. I understand. I take responsibility as much as I can for my actions, my words, my deeds.
Mhm.
It's time to smash the fucking mirror
Mm.
and get on with it. And then what'll happen? Like I said, open to talk about the fact that Brian's passing opened up a whole can of worms that I thought I'd dealt with. Turns out I haven't. And that's okay. It's the next layer of the onion. So I'm back in a period of reflection, not intense, but I'm back in a period of reflection where it's like I allowed those feelings and those depressive tendencies and those things to got their claws in again, just a little bit. And I understood that. I see that. And I'm making steps to deal with whatever the next layer of the onion is. However, you got to smash the mirror, because being in constant inflection and reflection doesn't serve you, man.
No.
Because it's not. You can only admit to yourself you're a dickhead so many times. That makes you feel bad. And the whole reason you did what you did is because you felt bad. So
I spoke to someone last night and I said, I'm not going to apologize anymore.
you don't have to.
No, and,
you don't.
I said, I'm worthy and I'm good enough.
Depends on if you're one of those people that constantly said sorry, then yes, you don't have to do that. Is there some apologies you may need to make to certain people? Maybe, but again, does it serve you? You know, you go through your I'm sure it's happened to you, John. It's happened to me. In your reflection period, you think about your girlfriend from 16, and you're like, oh, geez, I shouldn't have done that. And so you're not going to call her and say, hey, we're 45 now. I'm really sorry about what happened when we were 16. Actually, here's a good exercise. You guys are dragging it out of me tonight. Here's a good exercise with that stuff, right? Here's a good exercise. Shut up. A good exercise is this. Let's take that instance. You have had a reflection of a trauma set that has happened to you when you're a teenager. And this is for everybody, by the way. Something's happened to you when you were younger. It was your fault. You acted in a terrible way because something happened. Your trauma made you act out, and you've hurt someone who didn't deserve it. In your reflection, you feel now because you've allowed the walls to come down, you've allowed the mask to come off, you can feel what happened and you can feel what you did. And it doesn't feel nice. Now you can either sit with that, which you do need to. You need to feel it. Feeling is healing. Feeling is healing. That's what's written on the tie-dye shirt. That's, one of the first UTC shirts said feeling is healing on the front. And however, what do? Okay, we've got to let it go, man. Because it doesn't serve you to hang on to it. It serves you to feel it. It serves you to acknowledge it. It serves you to see how that came about.
Yeah.
So then if it comes about in the future, you can not do that again, right? So what do? Everything is energy, gentlemen. We send love to that person. We send a sorry. You don't have to get in touch with them. You don't have to physically talk to them or message them or anything. You send them love and forgiveness. I'm sorry that I hurt you. And in the universal space, man, they'll get that. They will get that. Because, and even if they don't, even if it's FUBAR in your internal body, it allows you to release it into the ether and you can let it go. Because it's like, again, I don't want to denigrate anybody's trauma, but the reality of it is, if we look at it from a logical sort of stoic type perspective, it's like, okay, you're still hanging on to something that happened when you were 7, right? That was 35 years ago or 40 years ago or 50 years ago. You're still hanging on to that. You're strong enough to let that go. And I know that, some people hearing this are like, you don't know me. No, I don't. No, you don't know your trauma set. I don't. But I believe that you're strong enough. For those that are listening, I believe that you are. And I know that you are. It's up to you to believe that you are.
Well, I said something to a friend last night that I would never have said 10 weeks ago. I turned around to them and said, I'm worthy and I'm good enough.
That's so hard.
And that is,
that's so hard.
And they went, yeah, because before 10, 15 weeks ago, I wouldn't have said that to anyone. That would have been like, fucking egotistical prick there.
No. I am worthy.
That's what I said to them. I'm worthy and I'm good enough.
And you are.
And if people don't like that, then fuck off. Like, basically. So
my mantra is peace, love, and go fuck yourself. To 99% of people, peace and love, man. Let's work together. Let's share knowledge. Let's explore. Let's have some fun. Absolutely. Peace and love. But if you're not that vibe, man, that's cool. Fuck off. I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm sorry you feel that way. Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. And that's fine. That's fine. Because, the reality is the people that we've put ourselves out for that didn't deserve it, do you think they agonize over it? They don't give a shit, man. They don't care. It never entered into their mind, especially if they're narcissistic people. They used you but that's their trauma and that's their problem. And that's where the peace and love comes from. It's like, look, I wish you peace and love, but go fuck yourself. I don't want anything bad to happen to you, but I don't want or need to have anything to do with you. I need to do what serves me. And look, man, I think you're very brave and you showed a lot of courage, because I imagine 10, 15 weeks ago, you wouldn't have come on here like this either.
No, I'd have put a mask up and we'd have talked about everything and anything rather than someone saying, are you okay? No way we've gone there. I'd have made sure that I'd have manipulated the conversation that way. So, because didn't want to talk about myself.
Mhm.
And it was easy, like I said, as we spoke about earlier, it's easier to talk to someone else, how's your problems, everything I do to help, than
Yeah.
Mhm.
they're going to ask me about mine then. That's safe.
Well, I think I want you to try, you may not feel it now, but I want you to take a minute tonight when you get home or something. Just feel the fact that you, number one, you stepped out of your comfort zone tonight. You showed, yeah, all the energy you spent for so many years hiding that and not being honest about it and not being raw about it. It took more courage and more strength and more willpower to do what you did tonight.
Mm.
Man, well done.
Thank you. And the main point of it is, and as we discussed before, is it's not for gratitudes or anything like that. It's so if it can help one or two people out there that are going through something, that's the important part. And that's why I talked up, spoke up, is that there'll be people listening, they're going, I'm going through that shit,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So,
And life sucks. It does.
Mhm.
This is the thing too. However, you got to carve out time. And in 2025, it just comes back to mind, body, soul.
Mhm.
What are you doing to service your mind, your body, and your soul? Because love is the answer. And the way that we are going to bring together Team Human is through
Yeah.
source and love and understanding that. However, in order to do that, we've got to find it within ourselves first. And it's not hard. It's not easy.
No.
It's much easier said than done. You know, and look, I want to be very clear that any advice or things that I've said tonight that may help you guys or may help anyone listening, I came to that through trial and error, man. I came to that through fucking up a lot.
Yeah.
And I had an ex-student of mine say, you know, I've had more than one person say, you should be a life coach. And I'm like, then the reason I would never do anything like that is because the only reason that I have any wisdom is because I've made so many mistakes.
And that's the way I look at it.
It's not about it's not about being bloody bodhisattva and being able to put on a deep voice and give you some advice. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's the fact that I fucked so many things up that I had to figure out a way to make it work. And a lot of the things that I tried didn't work. And the only things that I share now is stuff that I know that does work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about, you know, can you wake up tomorrow, you know, and I just said the advice that I'm giving. I want you to think about, Leigh, and this is for other people that are in this. It's all shiny and new, right? You're making great gains. You're getting better understanding of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Back in the day, we came up with what we called the rubber band theory. So basically, you're at a point now. You're at a point from 8 weeks ago, and you got a rubber band around your waist now, and you're running up the mountain.
Yeah.
And you're feeling better. You're seeing things. Something's going to happen, man. Life sucks. Shit happens. Something's going to happen, and you're going to be triggered in some way. What I want you to really think about is that with each goal that you reach, I want you to put the marker in the sand. I want you to put the pole that's attached to the rubber band, move it forward. Like tonight's one of those nights.
Yeah.
You can take that pole tonight and you can move it forward, and you can reset your base. Because what happens if you don't reset your base as you go, the further you run with the rubber band, what happens? The further it's going to snap back the other way.
Correct.
You need to make sure that you move your base along and take your time, man. You can't run up a mountain the whole time. And that's one I learned the hard way when it was all shiny and new to me. I'm the best. Let's go. Rah! And then just come crashing down.
Yeah.
The reason I know about the rubber band theory is it happened to me.
Yeah.
I made so many gains. Like this is over 10 years ago now, way before the show. And I made so many gains. Thought I was bloody, you know, the monk on the hill. And then I slipped and I fell back past where I was. Yeah. And I had a friend who was wise enough to see it. And he went, man, this is what you've done. I'm like, oh. And I think as men, what I found over the years is that if I give simple analogies like that, you just went, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool. So did John went, yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. Cool. Put it into action. Right. So you're not going from 8 weeks ago now. You go from tonight.
Correct.
That's your new marker. You go from tonight and you move forward from there. And like I said, man, life sucks. Some days you're going to move forward a mile. Some days you'll move forward a millimeter. Some days you're not going to move forward at all.
No.
Some days it might feel like you take a few steps back. It's still rather you come here and discuss it. We don't have to have the mics on at all.
Yeah.
I would rather you come here and discuss it and share with me anytime than contemplate. Because, yeah, bit of gallows humor, mate. Third time's the charm, bro.
Well,
All right.
going for the hat trick.
Yeah, you can't. You're not gonna. Yeah.
Look, at the moment, I've got some really good close friends around, some support, and I'm in a good place at the moment. And that's literally day to day. I'm in a good place at the
But
moment.
everything's day to day.
Yeah.
We've been tricked to think that there's a there there. There is no there. It's tomorrow. We do our best tomorrow with what we've got, with what we can do. We go to bed, we try again. That's it. That's it, man. And it's the corny bullshit, but it's true. It's not about the destination, man. It's about the journey. All right. You got shit to do. You got a documentary to release.
True.
We've got paranormal. I need more paranormal stories.
Yeah, me too.
Right. So you can't. Yeah.
We never even touched that one. Yeah.
I want to hear that
We
shit.
didn't even. We just gave one story, man. I want heaps. We need to come back and do paranormal stories, man. So you got things to do, brother. You got things to do.
We need to share.
Yeah. We've got knowledge to share. We've got adventures to have. We've got things to do.
Correct.
And I think you keep saying you've got good support around you. You're gathering people around you. Welcome to the UTC
Thank you, God.
tribe.
Mm-hmm.
As you can tell, we just want peace and love, man.
Yeah.
Most of the time. However, for stuff like this, that's all it is, man.
Yeah.
There's no judgment. There's nothing, because I understand. John understands. The listeners understand. You're not by yourself. And I think one of the things that has kept me going at times when sometimes the light is darkest, darkness before the dawn sort of thing, is that I know I've got things to do.
Yeah.
I've got a reason to be here. So it comes back to, what are you doing for you? You're a documentary filmmaker, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the way you talk to people. I observed the things you were doing in Cardwell. It's the reason I invited you on the show. I was like, where's Leigh? He's got to come on. I need to talk to him, because I saw what you were doing.
Thank you.
You do good work. You're going to provide benefit to that sphere. You're giving people a voice, and that's important. And you're weeding out the people that may or may not be legitimate.
True.
So we can get closer to the truth.
Yeah.
So you've got things to do. You got places to be. You got to come back to UTC.
We've still got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, you haven't touched any notes, mate.
No.
Well, what we do, because it's Johnny needs to go to bed. However, I know he wants to see this thing through to the end. So a good friend of mine, Bodie Sanders, he writes a lot of books, Warrior Wisdom. I've got multiple of his books. I actually wrote a bit of a foreword to his latest book, which is a Stoic mindset. We're going to get a copy of that soon. Bodie's recovering from surgery at the moment, but as soon as he's recovered, he lives in Colorado. He's going to come on to the show and we're going to discuss his new book. And it's quite fascinating. The Stoic mindset came to me just after Brian passed, and I got a sneak. I was very privileged to be one person who's read it before it's been released, and it helped me so much, right? And so what we do, and what I've been playing with the Warrior Wisdom book, and this isn't. Bodie's going to give you some advice. It'll probably be for all of us, and it's going to be crazy what it does. So just so confirm, Leigh, I'm closing my eyes, mate. I'm not looking at all.
No.
Well, number one, it's page 110 and 111, so that's 5 ones in a row. So that's
Pretty good.
pretty good numerology there for you. Think of going out before you enter. Always think ahead. Think about all the possible scenarios before you get yourself into something. Trying to always leave yourself a safety valve or a back door. A warrior should inevitably have a plan B up his sleeve just in case things go wrong. This is not to say that he plans for failure, but he's prepared for whatever way may happen and is able to respond to the changing environment. Don't get caught off guard because you rashly entered into a situation without thinking about the possible consequences and how you will deal with those consequences should they arise. Think ahead. Do not get yourself into circumstances where you have no way out. This is a very dangerous position for a warrior to be caught in at any time. The warrior should never be at the mercy of others as far as his choices go. You avoid placing yourself in these kinds of situations by thinking ahead. Look beyond the obvious and see the hidden facets of everything. Don't commit to something before you have investigated it thoroughly. Know the ins and the outs before you enter into any state of affairs. Be careful who you accept favours from. You don't want to be indebted to someone of low character. Think of possible ending point before you begin anything. Is that not what we've been talking about all night?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. And the last one. This is 111. One who is good at being a warrior does not appear formidable. Lao Tzu points out in the Tao Te Ching that it is necessary to look fierce and formidable in order to be a good warrior. In fact, looking like the ultimate warrior can have some definite drawbacks. There are many people out there who are intimidated by someone who looks like the gladiator, and others who feel compelled to challenge the warrior to prove their manhood. The warrior does not appear formidable on the surface automatically. Oh, sorry. The warrior who does not appear formidable on the surface automatically has several advantages. Think of the Karate Kid movies. I love Bodhi.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Miyagi was certainly a warrior, but he did not seem formidable. No one would be tempted to challenge this old man to prove their prowess in the fighting arts. He definitely would not be intimidating to others as far as his looks were concerned. And yet he was a formidable warrior. His deceptive looks gave him an advantage over his would-be enemies because no one expected him to be a warrior. They were always caught off guard by his skills and knowledge. Develop the skills, knowledge, and discipline of a warrior, and don't worry about your appearance or image. Be concerned with authenticity, not appearances. You do not have to prove anything to anybody except yourself. Once you know on the inside who you really are and what you can do, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Their opinions will not affect you anymore. Be satisfied with the knowledge of who you are and don't feel the need to show others. And that's what Bodhi does. How crazy was that?
Wow, that was wild. That was fucking wild.
And on that note, thank you, Leigh.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And listen, the one of the things that I've normalized, and I think I've said it to John a couple of times, so I love you guys.
Love you too.
Yeah,
All
love
right.
you too, mate.
Thank you.
All right. I do. And that's genuine. And it's not, I just do. All right. And love to everyone else out there. Well, mate, as I say, we didn't even, you creeped us out with one paranormal story. I need to hear like heaps more. So until next time, we'll catch up again soon. And look, man, maybe if you would like, we can do this again.
Love to very much.
If you would like to use it as a marker.
Yep. It'd be great.
Right. You can come back and say, hey, this is where I'm at. These are the things that I've learned, and we can explore that together.
That'd be really awesome.
All right, gents. Until next time, thanks so much. I don't know. That was cool. I don't know how to say goodbye. Thanks very much, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. Much love. And look, just sit with this. And it's there's been a couple of times in the last few days that I've been shown the reason that I do this. And tonight was one of those reasons. So thank you very much for that opportunity. And we'll talk again. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Peace.